fried. But I should have known better whenever I come down to Loyal Portadown. I should have known what to expect really from this town in particular. We're gathered here today to obviously oppose the NI protocol. And sometimes I find myself wondering, what exactly is it we're opposing? You know it's wrong, it feels against your gut instinct, but if someone came to you and said, what exactly are you here today to oppose? Some of us would maybe find it a wee bit hard to articulate exactly what we think. So first of all, it's a customs border. It affects everyone here, regardless of religion, regardless in your belief of where Northern Ireland should sit. It's cutting us off from our largest economic market. We do 5 times more trade with the UK mainland than we do with the Republic of Ireland or the EU. And the thing about it is that although we were experiencing difficulties at the moment, we're only in the first of 3 stages. So the first stage came in there on January the 1st, and that was dealing with meat, fish, food and plant-based products. There's only 2 retailers in Northern Ireland, believe it or not, for spuds. The Mighty Potato. We're well known for our spuds and our love of our spuds, but there's only 2 wholesalers in Northern Ireland. And believe it or not, there's not enough spuds in Northern Ireland for us all, so they bring them in from England. It normally would be about 6 loads a day that they bring in from England. But the last load was brought in recently, and that was the first in a month. They're now bringing the potatoes for Northern Ireland in from Belgium. Think of the jobs that's lost in Holliers, think of the jobs that's been lost in all the manufacturing and the packaging of those potatoes. And it's not just the potatoes themselves, it's the soil the potatoes coming. The pallets have to be specially heat treated, they have to be packed in a particular way. The lorries have to be washed. I mean, how ridiculous is it that in a country that has traded with the UK mainland for centuries, it's now illegal to bring soil from the UK over to Northern Ireland. It's legal, however, to bring it from France or Poland or Italy, people that we haven't traded with in such numbers over the years. And overnight it becomes illegal to bring in a wooden-handed trowel to here in Northern Ireland. Many of the suppliers in the UK have said it's cheaper for them to ship it to the EU and then drive it to Northern Ireland through the Republic. I mean, how ridiculous is that? In Northern Ireland, we have 2,800 lorries coming in every day on our ferries. At the moment, they're only managing to check 20% of those. And that's causing up to 2,800 certificates being checked a day. And at the moment, we're in the first phase, and it's 1 certificate per lorry. Once the second phase comes in, it's going to be 1 certificate per product, per destination, per lorry. And they reckon that that's going to get up to about 300,000 certificates a year, all checking your food. Apart from anything else, the supermarkets are exempt at the moment. They're not getting their goods checked. And when that happens, you're then going to be having health certificates on poultry, you're going to have them on mincemeat, you're going to have them on cheeses, you're going to have them on all the products. 77% of Northern Ireland businesses say that they are currently having trouble and it's having an effect on their business, and we're only in the first stage of 3, and they postponed the second stage there for the beginning of July under the threat from the EU of legal action. Marks and Spencer's say that they have problems with 380 different items into their 21 stores here in Northern Ireland, and it's costing them 33 million since the protocol came into place on the 1st of January. Apart from anything else, Tesco are now telling their suppliers that they're not going to ship to Northern Ireland, that they have to ship it themselves. And at the very least, B&M have now said that they have to get certificates for their beef and tomato pot noodles. I mean, this is how ridiculous it gets. Listen to these things. They're potatoes, pot noodles, garden trowels. They're all, it's madness. The supermarkets, as I say, they're exempt, they're in their grace period. It was extended. And next January, what is added to that there is medicines and the medical equipment. So it means that we will be completely different in terms of regimes and medicine, so they can bring in cancer treatments in UK that we won't get here in Northern Ireland. And you've seen that recently in the news as well. So not only are we being treated economically as a different country from the mainland UK, constitutionally, it's even more important. And for those of us who care about our place in the UK, it's equally important as economic issues. We remain in the EU single market. We apply the EU customs rules. We abide by the EU rules on state aid and VAT, even though we're still in the UK VAT area. We have to abide by the EU regulations on food, plant and animal health, and we're under the European Courts of Justice. I don't know about you, but that doesn't sound much like we're part of the UK. Where basically they have given us the control of Northern Ireland to a foreign power. We're subject to laws, we have no representation, we didn't make them, we have no say in them, and we can't change them. The 1801 Act of Union, I'm sure you've heard all of the politicians talking about this. It basically gave Northern Ireland the right to the same unfair trade as the rest of the UK. Does those rules that we have to apply, because of the NI Protocol, do they sound like it? They've basically changed the constitutional status of Northern Ireland. We're now part of the EU without our consent. Did you consent to it? Because I didn't. The Good Friday Agreement was supposed to provide protection for our constitutional status. Everything was meant to be done on a cross-community basis. Again, that has been completely breached. There's no say at all in what happened to our laws and what has happened to our country at the moment. Constitutional changes should be expressly repealed. They should be done openly. Yet the courts or the government's barristers are currently saying that it was done implicitly. In other words, it was done under the covers. Nobody knew about it. Here in Northern Ireland, we didn't get Brexit. And those of who say that we have to suck it up, this is what we voted for, are completely wrong. We've got the exact opposite of Brexit. We are still in the EU. We are still under control of the EU bureaucrats and their laws. So how does that not affect our status, our place in the United Kingdom? And finally, the NI Protocol got pushed through, and you know this as well as I do, with the threat of violence. You had Leo Varadkar, you had Jean-Claude Juncker, you had Sinn Féin, SDLP, Alliance, and even Theresa May saying we can't have any hard border on the island of Ireland. That will breach the Good Friday Agreement. So it's okay to breach the Good Friday Agreement when it comes to the sovereignty, but not when it comes to a border on the frontier. They only abide by the Good Friday Agreement when it suits their agenda. But what you have to remember is we do have a land border. It's not a sea border. The Czechs aren't taking part in the middle of the sea. The Czechs are taking part in Belfast and in Larne. So we have a land border. It's just not where it should be. It sets a dangerous precedent that the threat of violence managed to push this through. And I know that some people are asking, why don't we resort to similar tactics? And the reason being is we're a law-abiding people. We have respect for Her Majesty's laws and for her forces. And apart from anything else, why should you and I and our sons and our daughters end up with criminal records, possibly even convictions, when those who can do something about all of this in power aren't doing it? Our politicians, our MLAs, they should be refusing to implement this NI Protocol. They shouldn't be putting these border checkpoints in place. They shouldn't be continuing with the North-South ministerial council meetings whilst our East-West trade is in tatters. They need to stop doing U-turns every day. I mean, in this week alone, Poots has made 2 different U-turns on the Irish Language Act and in North-South ministerial council meetings. So what can we do standing here? We're not powerless. We can lobby our MLAs and we can lobby our politicians and tell them what we want. We don't want the NI Protocol. Remember, our votes put them in their positions of powers, and the lack of our votes can also take them out of those positions.
Look at our flags. Right, people say it's all about balaclava. Look at our flags. Right, that's what we want.
We want our flags.
Alright, yeah. I don't speak.
I know it looks like violence pays, but when we need to stay united, and many within our community feel uncomfortable about violence, and most importantly, we need to be tenacious. Far too often, in various different circumstances, we have let the heart rule ahead. When we haven't seen immediate change, we have given up. So it's important that we continue to let people know exactly what we think, and gatherings like this do exactly that. You can see here today, there is strength in numbers, and eventually those numbers and the right will prevail. Thank you very much for having me here for the organisers, and I know there's a few other great speakers coming along. Thank you.
Valerie, it's hard to follow that. I think you dissected the protocol pretty well there. It is fantastic to see so many people out here this afternoon. I think we need to give a round of applause to those who have organised this, the individuals and the groups. This is brilliant to see. don't know about you, but I genuinely believe there is a movement taking place within the loyalist community and the unionist community right now. There is a movement happening where people are saying proudly, clearly, taking to the streets if need be, enough is enough. What are we saying enough to? And as Valerie stated it brilliantly, an injustice has taken place in our communities and in and toward our country. And that injustice is the Northern Ireland Protocol. What is the Northern Ireland Protocol? The Northern Ireland Protocol is the product of betrayal. Betrayal from the our British government, our Prime Minister Boris Johnson, who sold Northern Ireland down the river to achieve his Brexit. It is a betrayal. That's what it is. It's an injustice, and that's how it should be understood. We had the Prime Minister of our country come to Northern Ireland and tell us that he would never accept, that he would never tolerate a border down the Irish Sea. But when the chips were down, when a decision was there to be made, that's exactly what he agreed to. He said that over his dead body would he allow a border down the Irish Sea. Well, in fact, he stepped over thousands of dead bodies of people from Ulster who fought and died. And the message from Portadown, which is clear to see, but the message from Ulster, the message from every unionist and every loyalist in Northern Ireland is that this is intolerable and the protocol must go. What does it do? It creates a customs border down the Irish Sea, right? It is damaging to business. You will be told time and time again, this is the best of both worlds. Like it's a myth, as if it's some sort of economic opportunity, as if it's an advantage. It is not. What has it done? It has damaged business since its implementation. Product availability has been reduced. Profitability has been damaged. Businesses are reorienting themselves away from London, away from GB, to align with the South. And what we are seeing is economic alignment. Separation from Great Britain at the cost of greater unification with the South. And look at what happened with the European Union. The European Union is a political union. It began as an economic union, and that's exactly what is happening through the protocol, and that is another reason why it must go. Yes. What else does it do? It damages the sovereignty or the constitutional position in Northern Ireland. We are part of the United Kingdom. I am proud to be part of the United Kingdom. Northern Ireland is as much an integral member of the United Kingdom as any other constituent country. What is the Union? What is it? It was formed through legislation in the year 1800 through the Act of Union 1800, which stated, just like Valerie said, Article 6 says that all subjects should be on an equal footing. It wasn't just a political union, it was an economic union. And that's the very union that our government is arguing in court today that has been breached. This is a constitutional issue. It is a constitutional abomination. And once again, it's another reason why it will never be tolerable to the unionist and loyalist community. It is another reason why every single unionist, whether it be in Northern Ireland or in Great Britain, must stand against this constitutional outrage. It is unacceptable. The protocol must go. It threatens our sovereignty. This is not just orange and green. This is not just unionist issues. Yes, it's a constitutional issue, but it's not just solely for unionism. When you're standing here today, when you're standing against the protocol, you're standing up for business. You're standing up For health, Northern Ireland is part of the European Medicines Agency. What that means is medicines must go through approval through the European Medicines Agency. And what we've seen in the past number of weeks, Great Britain has autonomy over that. They're different than us. We still remain in the European Medicines Agency. Great Britain is outside of it, and they're able to pass and approve medical support for cancer treatments and all the rest of it. The protocol is not just bad for business. The protocol is not just bad for the union. The protocol is bad for your health. So when you stand up against the protocol, you're standing up for business, you're standing up for the union, you're standing up for health, you're actually standing up for every single citizen in Northern Ireland, because this is unacceptable. It threatens our sovereignty, because we're in a position where laws that are implemented in our country, we have no say in those laws. What respectable Western civilization would ever tolerate that? Our ancestors fought and died to protect democracy. Are we going to acquiesce and allow it to be given away to the hands of the European Union? I don't think so. This is about sovereignty. This is about democracy. So when we stand against the protocol, that's what we're standing against. But these are the things we're standing for today. It's not just sovereignty as well. We've also got the issue of the Belfast Good Friday Agreement. Now, I was born in 1992. I was 6 years of age whenever the Belfast Agreement was signed, so I'm not going to lecture anybody about what they voted for or what they didn't vote for or all the rest of it. But since 1998, it's hard to find a unionist or a loyalist that will argue with a straight face that the Belfast Agreement has delivered for you or for your community, has it? No. So, but what we do have in this Brexit process is a manner in which the Good Friday Agreement was not used as an instrument to defend your values. It was not used as an instrument to protect your community, but to attack it. It was not used as something to protect our constitution, but to assault it. Because throughout the whole Brexit process, we heard time and time again how the Belfast Agreement prohibited a customs border which respected Northern Ireland's unity between itself and Great Britain, but reflected Northern Ireland's division between itself and the Republic of Ireland. The Belfast Agreement was used as a weapon to attack what we value. As far as I'm concerned, the manner in which it has been used has left it in tatters. And if you read the Northern Ireland Protocol, the purpose, you were told, of the protocol is to protect the Belfast Agreement. It doesn't, it damages it. The purpose of the protocol, we're told, is to protect the peace process. It doesn't. It threatens it. And it's about time that our politicians in Europe, in the Irish Republic, and the United Kingdom government, and up at Stormont, understood that. I started by saying that the protocol is an injustice. And nothing sums this up greater than the fact that Leo Varadkar, members of Sinn Féin, SDLP and the Alliance Party and the Irish government and the European Union, all of them, like some sort of political choir, hyped up the threat of Republican violence if we had a customs border which respected Northern Ireland's position within the United Kingdom. They did it. We heard Leo Varadkar parade papers in the European Commission of bombs and death and destruction at customs border posts between Northern Ireland and the South. And in so many words he said, this could return if you had a customs border which respected unionism, which respected Northern Ireland's place within the United Kingdom. We had Jean-Claude Juncker on national TV telling us that history, the dark and awful history that we have here, could be back immediately if we had a customs arrangement which respected Northern Ireland's position within the United Kingdom. The threat of violence has been front and centre throughout this entire Brexit process, and it has led to a customs border in the Irish Sea which damages Northern Ireland's constitutional position. What sort of society is that to live in? What sort of thing is that to tolerate? So when unionists and loyalists and anyone who values democracy comes out here to stand today against this injustice, you're standing against the threat of violence and the way in which our opponents have used it for their own political gain. So the question is, and the question we're asking ourselves, it is an injustice, but what can we do? What can loyalists and unionists do to rally against it? And it is clear that because it is intolerable, it will be challenged. So let's challenge it. It will be challenged in the courts. And we're seeing that through the likes of Jim Ulster and Kate Hoey and Ben Habib and others who are taking the fight against the protocol to the courts. And it will be challenged on the streets. People will protest peacefully. They will stand up and say that this is intolerable. And you don't let anyone tell you otherwise. You have a democratic right and privilege to stand against this injustice in the peaceful way that we are doing here today, and no one should be ashamed of that whatsoever. So we will protest against this because it is an outrage, but it also needs to be challenged politically. And what we are seeing over the past 2 years is an absence of political action. This is why people are here, because we've waited long enough. We've been waiting for our politicians to take the lead against this injustice, and it hasn't came here. All we've got is platitudes and rhetoric, and they're told to dial down the rhetoric. They don't need to dial it down, they need to back it up. The wheels of change are sown with activism, not words, not rhetoric. It's easy for me to stand here and it's easy for politicians to speak, but it's action. It's ordinary people like yourselves who are willing to take risks, who are willing to come out here and show your face and stand peacefully protesting against this injustice. Where's our politicians? We need political action, and we need it now. So as we go forward, our message is one community, all together, as one people, united. We're tired of talking. We're tired of waiting. The protocol must go. And if our politicians refuse to act, if they continue to implement this injustice, then they will no longer be representing those they claim to represent. The protocol must go.
Of the Belfast Agreement in 1998, I have been dismayed by the dismissive and condescending attitude shown recently towards my generation regarding our knowledge and contribution towards politics in Northern Ireland. Whether this ignorance is the latest tactical attempt at the deliberate ridicule of my community, or whether it's through a lack of basic knowledge and understanding. I feel the need to share with you all today what exactly loyalism is and what culture and identity means to an ordinary teenage girl from the PUL community in Northern Ireland. What is loyalism? Whilst this question in itself may be simple, it is by no means a straightforward answer, because loyalism can be many different things to many people. Loyalism to me is loyalty to my family, to my friends, to my community, and to my country. It's an exception for my heritage. It's a civic unionism with a conscience and a bond between those who believe in the strength of the United Kingdom. The very union which saw our forefathers through 2 world wars and subsequent conflicts in the Falklands and the Middle East. And also closer to home, our parents and our grandparents through the period of the Troubles. Whenever I listen to the media outlets, I become angered to see loyalists defined as criminals and gangsters. Loyal people are not motivated by greed nor by fortune. There is no room in loyalism for those who hijack a flag for their personal or monetary gain. It saddens me to see the media and politics lambast an entire community and ignore the positive outcomes carried out by many young loyalist people. People like my friends and I who looked after the vulnerable within our estates during the pandemic, or who take pride in maintaining our community. Some of these same friends do not publicly label themselves as loyalists because it's now a commonplace to see the word loyalist unfairly associated with negative connotations. The failure of our political representatives to challenge this narrative at every opportunity only vindicates the martyr and condemns law-abiding citizens like myself. Culture and identity are all integral aspects of the PUL community. My culture has given me some of the most memorable moments of my young life, be it the friendships I made at our local 11th night bonfire, the excitement to hear the bands on the 12th morning, or the beaming smile and sense of pride on my grandfather's face as he marches on Easter Monday and Derry Day. The joyous moments make up the very fabric of my being, and at 19 years of age, I am concerned to witness my culture and identity come under constant attack. I feel my British identity is being chipped away at every opportunity, with the proposed Irish Language Act as the latest example, a political weapon designed to erode the British identity. My identity within Northern Ireland, a like it or lump it attitude that has become all far too familiar. Despite what the Northern Ireland Protocol may infer, I do not see myself any less equal than my fellow British citizens, whether they be from Portadown or Portsmouth. So if a child born after the Belfast Agreement can see that the Union is on life support, then it's about time our political representatives did too.
Organisers, I will thank all of you who have shown your support and the speakers on the platform for the message they delivered. Before we leave, it is important that one final message is given. Across the towns and villages of mid-Ulster, people are mobilising to resist the protocol and to provide for a united voice from within our community. Like you, they have had enough. They no longer trust those elected to positions of power or influence to speak on their behalf or to represent the views of the loyalist and unionist community. Other areas across the country are doing the same, and a coordinated approach is underway. Some will ask, who are these people? The answer is simple. They're the same as those who shut the gates of Derry against the authority of the day. They are Sloan and Winter from Loughgall, who formed the Orange Order in defence of her people. They are the descendants of those who signed the Ulster Covenant. They are every Ulster man and woman who ever stood up to be counted. So are you by standing here today. Today is just the beginning, and further events are planned. When you go home, reflect on what you've heard today and be prepared at short notice to be called on to resist the protocol. Thank you for listening.